in the land, combat insecurity, reduce waste in governance, and release all those still in detention in connection with the NSAS protest movement that took place in 2020. They also called for the protection of farms and farmers, declaration of a state of emergency on education, institution of electoral reforms, establishment of a living wage, and amendment of the Constitution to allow for referendums. In a bid to minimize the risk of violent disorder and to innocent life and property, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, held meetings with a wide spectrum of stakeholders, including state governors, traditional rulers, and religious leaders, as well as other groups. This is important. Nigeria is a federation, and change is best delivered when all branches of government work together, especially at the local level. President Tinubu called on the organizers to be patient with his government as it works to address Nigeria's challenges. He urged them to understand that there could be no instant fix to the legacy of decay that he had inherited. He said that reforms by his administration were sincere and well thought out, and would succeed in the long run at creating a better platform for jobs, prosperity, security, and the stable democracy that Nigeria deserves. Rather than back down, the organizers of the protests promised that the protests would be peaceful, listed out the various venues to be used, and requested the police to provide adequate coverage and protection to ensure peaceful and crisis-free protests. However, contrary to their promise, some of the protesters unleashed violence and turmoil in some parts of the country, with wanton destruction of properties and bloodshed leading to the loss of lives. As is common in many parts of the world, the line between legitimate protests as a fundamental pillar of democracy and criminal damage, thuggery, and violent disorder can quickly be crossed. In the national broadcast on Sunday, 4th August 2024, the President expressed pain over the loss of lives, the destruction of public facilities, and the wanton looting of supermarkets and shops in some states. The President commiserated with the families and relations of those who had lost their lives in the protests. He urged protesters and organizers to suspend any further protests and create room for dialogue. He warned that those who broke the law would be made to face the full force of the law. President Tinubu also used the broadcast to highlight some of the measures being taken by his administration to address the concerns of Nigerians and make life better for everyone. I will shed light on some of these measures, beginning with the removal of fuel subsidies and abolition of multiple foreign exchange system. For decades, our economy has been anemic. Our population is young, dynamic, and vibrant, and Nigeria has abundant resources. But weak administration and policy misalignments that have stunted the country's growth and potential. Just over a year ago, we reached a point where we could no longer afford to continue the use of temporary solutions to solve long-term problems for the sake of the present and our unborn generations. Consequently, Mr. President took the painful yet necessary decision to remove fuel subsidies and abolish multiple foreign exchange systems, which together with the architecture that they supported had constituted a noose around the economic neck of our nation and held back our prospects for rapid development and progress. These actions blocked the greed and the profits that smugglers and rent seekers made. They also blocked the undue subsidies were effectively extended to our neighboring countries to the detriment of our people. The bold decisions that President Tinubu took, with the full support of experts, economists, and many of our friends abroad, became necessary to reverse decades of economic mismanagement and failure. In the past 14 months, the federal government has made significant strides in building the foundation of the economy to carry the country into a future of plenty and abundance. On the fiscal side, aggregate government revenues have more than doubled, hitting over 9.1 trillion naira in the first half of 2024 compared to the first half of 2023, and this was due to deliberate and concerted efforts at blocking leakages, introducing automation, and mobilizing funding creatively without additional burden to the people. Consequently, productivity is gradually increasing in the non-oil sector, reaching new levels and taking advantage of the opportunities in the current economic ambience. Coming from a place where our country spent 97% of all our revenue on debt servicing, we've been able to reduce that to 68% in the last 13 months. The federal government has also cleared legitimate outstanding foreign exchange obligations of about 5 billion without any adverse impact on her programs. This has given us more financial freedom and the room to spend more money on our citizens to fund essential social services like education and healthcare. It has also led to our state and local governments receiving the highest allocations ever in our country's history from the Federation account. The government has also embarked on major infrastructure projects across the country. We're working to complete inherited projects critical to our economic prosperity, including roads, bridges, railway, power, and oil and gas developments. Notably, the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, the Sokoto-Badagry Highway projects will open 16 connecting states, creating thousands of jobs and boosting economic output through trade, tourism, and cultural integration. Our once declining oil and gas industry is experiencing a resurgence on the back of the reforms of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, which he announced on May 2024 to address the gaps in the Petroleum Industry Act. Last month, the government increased oil production to 1.61 million barrels per day, while our gas assets are receiving the attention they deserve. Investors have started to return to that sector. Whereas Nigeria is blessed with both oil and gas resources, we've been dependent almost solely on oil-based petrol, neglecting its gas resources to power the economy. We're also using our hard-earned foreign exchange to pay for and subsidize its use. To address this, the federal government immediately launched a compressed natural gas initiative to power the transportation economy and bring costs down. This will save the country over 2 trillion naira a month, being used to import premium motor spirits, petrol, and automotive gasoline oil, AGO, that's diesel, and free up our resources for investment in healthcare and education. To this end, the government will be distributing 1 million kits at extremely low or no cost for commercial vehicles that transport people and goods and which currently consume 80% of the imported PMS and AGO. Distribution of conversion kits and setting up of conversion centers across the country has started in conjunction with the private sector. We believe that this CNG initiative will reduce transportation costs by approximately 60% and help curb inflation. The federal government has shown its commitment to the youth by setting up the student loan scheme. To date, 45.6 billion naira has already been processed for payment to students and their respective institutions. In the same vein, the administration has established the Consumer Credit Corporation with over 200 billion to help Nigerians to acquire essential products without the need for immediate cash payments, making life easier for millions of households. This will consequently reduce corruption and eliminate cash and opaque transactions. The President has ordered the release of an additional 50 billion naira each for the Nigerian Education Loan Fund and Credit Corporation from the proceeds of crime recovered by the EFCC, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. The federal government has secured $620 million, as some of you know, under the Digital and Creative Enterprises, IDICE, a program to empower our young people, creating millions of IT and technical jobs that will make them globally competitive. These programs include the 3 million Technical Talent Scheme. Consider for a moment that it was just one of these digital centers, a beacon of empowerment and opportunity that was vandalized during the protests in Kano. In addition, the government has introduced the Skill Up Artisans Program, SUPA, the Nigerian Youth Academy, NIA, and the National Youth Talent Export Program, NATEP. Also, more than 570 billion naira has been released to the 36 states of the Federation to expand livelihood support to their citizens, while 600,000 nano businesses have benefited from nano grants. An additional 400,000 more nano businesses are expected to benefit. Furthermore, 75,000 beneficiaries have been processed to receive 1 million naira micro and small business single-digit interest loans beginning from this month. The government has also built 10 micro, small, and medium enterprises hubs within the past year. It has created 240,000 jobs through them, and 5 more hubs are in progress, which will be ready by October this year. Payments of 1 billion naira each are also being made to large manufacturers under the administration's single-digit loans to boost manufacturing output and stimulate growth. President Tinubu signed the national minimum wage into law last week, and the lowest earning workers in the country will now earn a minimum of 70,000 naira a month from the previous monthly wage of 30,000 naira. This move is expected to have a positive impact on the lives of many workers and their families. 6 months ago, in Karsana, in Abuja, President Tinubu inaugurated the first phase of the administration's ambitious housing initiative, the Renewed Hope City and Estate. This project is the first of six that the government planned across the nation's geopolitical zones. Each of these cities will include a minimum of 1,000 housing units, with Karsana itself set to deliver 3,212 units. In addition to these city projects, the government is also launching the Renewed Hope Estates in every state, each comprising 500 housing units, and the goal is to complete a total of 100,000 housing units over the next 3 years. This initiative is not only about providing homes, but also about creating thousands of jobs across the nation, as well as stimulating economic growth. The federal government is providing incentives to farmers to increase food production at affordable prices. The president has directed that tariffs and other import duties should be removed on rice, wheat, maize, sorghum, drugs, and other pharmaceutical and medical supplies for the next 6 months in the first instance to help drive down the prices. President Tinubu has been meeting with governors and key ministers to accelerate food production. Let me emphasize again, in our democracy, the president can lead, but effective government and delivery in a federal system is partnership between the center, the state, and the local government. And we're showing that when this partnership is at its best, it delivers. To this end, fertilizers have been distributed. The target is to cultivate more than 10 million hectares of land to grow food. The federal government will provide all necessary incentives for this initiative, whilst the states provide the land, which will put millions of our people to work and further increase production. In the past few months, the federal government has also ordered mechanized farming equipment such as tractors and planters worth billions of naira from the United States, Belarus, and Brazil. The equipment is on the way and is expected in the country soon. On security, the federal government has recorded tremendous success addressing the security situation in the country. In this regard, efforts are being made to accelerate the kinetic approach to the fight against terrorism and banditry, the non-kinetic approach towards the fight against terrorism and banditry, with the establishment of the 50 billion naira Pulako initiative, targeting 7 frontline states in the battle against banditry and cattle rustling. President Tinubu understands the pain and frustration that drive the protests and has assured that his government is committed to listening and addressing the concerns of Nigerians. He has appealed particularly to the youths and advised them not to let violence and destruction tear the country apart. While admitting that there have been many dashed hopes in the past, he affirmed that Nigeria is in a new era of renewed hope as the government is working hard and that the results will soon be visible and concrete for everyone to see, feel, and enjoy.